Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Behind the Small Business Podcast. Welcome back. Once again, my name is Kevin Dandino. This is always brought to you by Centennial State Insurance Agency. If you are looking for a quote, home, auto, commercial, personal, whatever, reach out to us. We'd be more than happy to get you set up with a quote. Today on episode, we are plugging away through these episodes. We are talking to a ton of business owners, and today I have a really fun one. Amber Burr from Daddy's Homemade Syrups. Amber, how are you doing?
I am doing great, Kevin. Thank you so much for having me today.
Yeah, no, it's a pleasure. And I just got to start with this. Before the show, we were talking about this, and I need you to explain a little bit more. 49 gallons of syrup over a weekend? Is that correct?
3 days. Yeah, 3 days. just a few syrups.
It's mind-boggling.
Now I got to go deliver it all.
Oh, jeez.
Yes,
Well,
it's been a busy week.
How long does it take to make that?
3 days.
Really?
We had about 13-hour days the last few days.
Jeez.
Yeah, that's why we want to get into more co-manufacturing and have other people help us. It's about time for others to help.
I love it. That sounds great. Well, seriously, Amber, thank you for joining me today, and I'm excited to hear more about the syrup business and all the different things that you make and how you do it and how you just how you're a successful business owner. I'm sure there's a fun story behind it all. So I think the first thing I want to ask is there's always a story behind the name of small business, and I don't think yours is an exception to that. So just curious, how did you pick that name? What's the story behind it? And let us all know on the secret.
Yeah, absolutely. It started completely by accident. My husband had some health issues, so we started taking a closer look at the ingredients that we were putting in our bodies. Realized how much we used to buy the big giant jars of syrup from Walmart and Costco, and I realized how much high fructose corn syrup and artificial ingredients there were in there for our pancakes and breakfast foods. So my husband put it back on the shelf one day and said he was done and wanted to make it for himself. So he did and found a recipe of his grandma's just for like a simple syrup. Started with some vanilla and maple and did that for about 2 years for our family before our friends and family convinced us to turn it into a business. Realized at some point we had a light bulb moment that it wasn't just for breakfast foods. We started putting it in our coffees, cocktails, top of ice cream. I got 3 young kids, so they're my favorite taste testers. We've put it on popcorn, chicken nuggets, all kinds of fun things that I wouldn't have thought about, but it turns out really nicely. My oldest daughter hand drew our original logo. So our logo is my 3 kids, and she got tired of drawing the stickers, drawing the logos. So she was very excited when we got to be able to turn it into stickers and we just had our 5-year anniversary. So we started with farmers markets and events, and everybody's loving it, and started hearing more about people wanting it, not just at home, but in their favorite local businesses and their coffee shops, bars, restaurants. So just in the last year or so, we've been really pushing that angle and started getting it into some of our favorite local businesses around the state, and even a couple out of Colorado.
That's awesome. I mean, I've seen on your Instagram, you have like a picture of like you posing next to some of your product in a store. You're like, oh, look at what we found here.
Yeah, absolutely. That's one of my favorite parts is the connection. And, when we first started, it was just about sharing something delicious with everybody. And over the years, it's really become a mission of, kind of educating people that there are other options out there, but besides just the name brand, artificial, cheap stuff, and really giving consumers a choice of what is out there and what they can do, and really finding a lot of people are actually making their own syrup at home because of that reason, consumers and businesses, really. So being able to let them have that creativity, but also give them other options when they don't have the time or don't have the energy to do it themselves.
Yeah. So what is the process like? Because to me, I mean, not having any knowledge of it, I would think that it'd be pretty lengthy for, me trying to do it in my own home, much less make a large quantity of it to sell. So how do you go through that? What are some how do you stumble? I know you talked about your husband finding that old recipe, but how long does it take to find new recipes, with all the mixing and matching and tasting, and just what's that like? It's got to be
Great
fun.
question. Well, I'm kicked out of the kitchen. I stay away from that part of it. I do stuff like this. My husband, he loves it. He loves all the DIY and
Mhm.
recipes stuff, and he's the one that really has honed in on that. The recipe that he started with was great for at home, and this is what a lot of people tend to do. When they make their own, it can be a little bit time consuming, and it really only lasts for a couple of weeks, maybe a month at the most if they're lucky.
Mm.
And a lot of times they got to refrigerate it. So with ours, after 2 years of experimenting and playing with different recipes, he really kind of honed in on the right ratios for the sugar and the water and the temperatures and the length of time and all of those good scientific things that I don't know nothing about. I stay away from, to really perfect the recipe and make it more shelf stable. So ours, you actually don't have to refrigerate it at all. No refrigeration even after opening, and it's got a 2-year shelf life because of the way that he's been able to do that. And
Hmm.
it's it's just based with pure cane sugar and water and natural extracts. So it's the same base for all flavors across the board. And then he just changes out the flavor for the extract.
That's awesome. Well, and it's cool that you talked about the variety of syrups you have. I mean, because if I think syrup business, I'm thinking breakfast. You got your syrup, you got your strawberries and your blueberries and your pecan, and like that's it. But then you
Yep.
think about like, yeah, what about those coffee syrups? What about things for desserts and all these other options? So for you to have
Yeah.
expanded into that whole larger marketplace is pretty fascinating.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun, and we've that's how we ended up with so many flavors. One of my daughter's friends' dad had called him the Syrup King of Evergreen, so he
Syrup
had to live
King
up to that
Evergreen. I
name.
love it.
So he has actually created over 100 flavors, but to scale up and as busy as we've been, we have dialed down on 21 core flavors, and then of course we have to have our pumpkin spice and candy cane for the holiday season and some fun ones like that, and then we'll do custom orders. But it's
Mm.
so fun because chefs have a great time, baristas, mixologists really dive. I mean, you walk in any grocery store and I'm just seeing all these crazy flavors for all these different things. I was like, oh, it's not just us. So that's
Yeah,
good. But
that
people
is good.
really loving the flavor. And I think after the pandemic, a lot of people got more creative with their flavors and just trying, the same recipes, but just adding a little bit of syrup to it. We've drizzled it on top of meat or vegetables and just added that little sweet glaze for something a little bit different. And it's people are loving it. And I love the connection of hearing the stories from people too, where they are sharing it with their friends and family and they're excited about new recipes that they've created, or trying to have like competitions with each other on what they're going to create next. And one weekend somebody will create it and the next weekend it's somebody else's turn, and they take different turns with what they're going to create and share it, and it's a lot of fun.
That's cool. And then there's a network behind it.
Yeah.
There's a group of people that are willing to talk and share, and that's fantastic to hear because it just when it's a hobby, when it's something you're passionate about, and then you turn it into your business on top of it. Like as long as you're fueling that passion, right?
Yeah.
What I'm seeing from a lot of these successful business owners is they find a way to make sure it stays a passion in their life. They don't
Yeah.
let it become just another job because as soon as you do
Absolutely.
that, man, that has got to be the worst feeling trying to run a business that you have no heart in it at all for. So,
If
um,
that was the case, I would have been done years ago.
yeah, exactly, right, exactly. So
Yeah.
I think that's cool. How else do you guys find ways? You kind of talked about, you're selling to different people, seeing, their reactions and stuff. But what are other ways you find to stay passionate, stay involved, and keep this thing growing? Versus saying, well, enough, we're too much now. 100 flavors, that's it. Like, what's kept you
Yeah.
growing past, just the beginning there?
Absolutely. I am more inspired and more passionate every day. I feel like
Mm.
a lot of the passion has come from my kids, to be honest. What they're really learning a lot of life lessons that they wouldn't have learned anywhere else. They're alongside markets with me, counting change. They're asking me like all these questions. They're 13 and under, all three of them, and they're asking questions that they're just mind blowing, about the business and behind the scenes stuff that shouldn't be coming from 10-year-olds, for example.
Yeah.
It just is. It's amazing, and they want to know, and they're curious, and we've had lots of conversations because I've done things. If I'm out and about, I may as well be trying to help others. So we've partnered with local places to help with like food drives, and we did the teddy bear patrol last year. This year we're doing the Walk for the Cure for the Arthritis Foundation. So my kids have asked me, well, why are you doing this? And I'm like, why not? So it's really,
That answer.
we're in such a crazy time and such a crazy world right now that I want them to see and know what it was like when we grew up, and the humanity and the connection, and
Mm.
that sometimes the smallest of things really matter. And just because you see everybody else doing things that you may not agree with or don't like or don't understand or whatever doesn't mean that you can't do something different, and have those small acts of kindness, and just go, take an extra couple of seconds or a few minutes to do something for somebody else, and really kind of inspire them to, be something different and a little bit better than a lot of the things that are going on right now.
Yeah. Well, and part of it, you're right. Finding something that sticks to yourself, but um, i- doing something that puts aside all of those differences.
Yeah.
Everyone. It's kind of like why, if you can't tell, I'm a Broncos fan.
Mhm.
For people out there,
Mhm. I love it.
no little secret, right? But
Colorado native. So, yep, I
right,
love it.
exactly. But part of a big reason, like why I love it so much, is because when you go to the game, or you're watching the game with friends, like nothing else matters. It doesn't
Yeah.
matter who says what about this or that, or who, what opinions or what. You're all just there together, and you're all
Yes.
just rooting for the same cause. And that's why I think, yeah, what you're touching on with the community involvement. It doesn't matter what your business is, or what you all feel about this or that. Like, you're all there helping, right? So
Yeah.
I think that is fantastic to hear you talk about it like that.
Thank you. Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, and I talked a lot about my kids, and really the more we're doing it and the more I'm hearing from the community, and um just being at events, and people will just come up and thank me, and I'm like, what are you talking about?
For what?
So really hearing these stories that we're inspiring others. And we did some stuff last year with the Jingle Bell Run with some other nonprofits,
Oh,
and we've
cool.
actually had, oh, and the Jingle Bell Run was with the Arthritis Foundation too. And
Mm.
I had somebody come up that came out to that event specifically because they saw we were there, and they saw the connection of what our family goes through with arthritis, and wanted to share their story and thank us for helping spread the word and being there. And it's just moments like that. There's just no words to describe. And the more I'm out there and seeing this stuff, I'm like, okay, what else can I do? Let's go.
Yeah. Well, I think that's fantastic. And it just goes back to a lot of conversations we've had on this podcast in the past, in terms of how important it is to go out there and be involved in the community,
Yeah.
and just the amount of positive impact you can have as a small business owner. You may think like, oh, just my little shop or my little syrup stand, whatever. Like, what could I really do? But you go out there and you see the kind of impact you have around on the people around you. And that's exactly what we're all in a position in as small business owners.
Yeah.
Those little things can go so long. They can be so impactful.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, we've been joking around. We're wanting to lead a syrup revolution. That's my new thing. So being out there and having that mindset that even though we're just a small family owned business, that's really our mission, and our goal is to be able to, our new mantra, so to speak, is sweetening lives naturally, one bottle at a time, and
I
being
like
able
that.
to not just about the syrup like we were talking about, right, but being able to see that connection and provide that connection with people, whether it's at a breakfast table or over coffee or a cocktail or small businesses. That's one of my favorite things too, is being able to help lift each other, and whatever I can do to help promote some of these smaller businesses that are using our syrup or selling our syrup is really what it's all about too, I think, and really trying to kind of help lift each other up, and I mean, if we're all spreading the word about each other, then, it's a win-win for everybody.
Yep, exactly. So for any aspiring business owners out there who are trying to figure out what their business is going to be and how they're going to run it, if you're thinking that you need to, keep everything as close to the chest as possible and not talk to anyone because you want to be the best and forget everybody else around, that's probably not going to help you out very much.
No,
Just as
definitely
Amber, you're
not.
talking about, and every other business owner I've had on here has talked about, you've got to have a network of people around you, and talking to people in similar business types as your own. Like it's good to have healthy competition.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
to also like just say we're on the same team, let's help each other out in a number of ways. Um, it's a key for success. It really is. I'm
Yeah.
convinced.
Yeah. Couldn't agree more. Absolutely.
Kind of curious, as you've been through 5 years now, you've kind of passed the first big hurdle of being a small business owner. They talk about 70% in the first 5 years or something like that don't survive.
Yeah.
Well, here you are. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And
I've
so
seen the
sitting
numbers, and
that
I'm on a mission to beat those numbers.
that's a great mindset, right? So what have you done to get there? What are some of the things that you found that they're successful for you that maybe you've learned along the way, or kind of helped keep you in gear, getting you through some of those challenges over the last 5 years?
Great question. I kind of going back to what we were just talking about.
Sure.
When I first started having the mindset of, I grew up thinking that I was raised that I can do whatever I put my mind to. And if I could figure it out, I could. So that's how I was doing everything when we first started. I could figure this out. I got this. And, we just kept growing. And I quickly learned that I cannot do what I want to do by myself. There are just way too many things. So being able to have that networking and that community and getting help and asking for help. I work with the gal, Sari Kimball, with Food Business Success, who's been amazing. And one of her things that really stuck with me is to find a who, not a how. Like there's so many times along the way that I'm like, I don't know how this is going to happen. I don't know how to do this. I don't know how this is even possible. And her thing, if we can find the right who's to put in place to help us, it doesn't matter how, because they'll figure it out. It might be their sweet spot and what they're good at. And it may be something that takes me months to do that takes somebody else 5 minutes to do. So
Right.
that's definitely been a huge part of it for sure, is the community and asking for help.
That's awesome. I think it's one of those things where we want to support the people that are going through those initial stages of opening a business.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of hard because there's so many different facets to owning a business. Whether it's the finance or the marketing or the transportation or employees or kids,
Yes.
any of these factors, right? There are so many different things. So one thing I kind of also want to talk to you about is, how have you approached marketing, and what's worked for you? Because there's a lot of different thoughts out there. People like to chase Google reviews, which is great. Some people like to chase views on Facebook or Instagram or something, or follower count. So kind of where have you found success for you in terms of marketing?
Great question. But you reminded me of something else actually real quick before I answer that. Is another key is patience. It does not happen overnight. We've still, 5 years is amazing. We've got a long ways to go.
Of course.
But we're seeing the progress, and we're seeing, patience and consistency. So anyways, back to your marketing question.
Marketing question.
Yes. Consistency there as well, for sure. I have not what is the book that I'm thinking? There's a great book that I have really dived into. Marcus Sheridan, They Ask You Answer, has been phenomenal for me. It's all super like common sense, no brainer thing once I read it, but it's just something that not many people do. And it's just about educating people and giving them the choice. It's not about selling the product and telling them to buy and putting these sales out there and doing what most big name brands do all the time. It's about answering all of the questions So it helped us, helped me kind of create a blog on our website as well as our social media stuff and our email newsletters, and use the same content for all of these different platforms to really answer the questions that I'm asked all the time at markets and on the phone and emails and everything else. What is flavored syrup? What can you use it for? Why do we use pure cane sugar versus other things? And, what's the shelf life and different things like that, that just, I can answer all these questions. And it really is, it's not about selling the product. You need to buy these things. It's about giving these education pieces to everything. And that's, I think, huge for everybody, because it's not about just, I think the marketing thing has changed with a lot of stuff. And I think the more small businesses that can get on board with that and do more of the storytelling and the educating of the consumers versus just being out there to be the best brand and try to convince them to buy something, I think is really where it's at, because I don't think a lot of big brands are doing that yet. They're still stuck on their old habits.
Yeah. Oh, it makes sense. I mean, you look at these commercial stuff, it's all about flashy graphics and, oh, pay attention to us, because they just want you to remember that brand. But if you thought about like, well, why would I want to buy that? Oh, I don't know. I saw a lot of commercials on TV, right?
Exactly.
So for what you're talking about, taking that step further, I think it shows a level of respect towards your consumer too. You're saying like, I don't need to just make flashy signs and cool little graphics to earn your business. Like, I want to earn your business. Here's what separates us. Here's what makes this product so special. Here's how it applies to you and how you can use it in your life and why you should buy it, and having that conversation with them and approaching them in that mindset, talking to them at farmers markets or all these different places. So you're right. I think there is kind of a shift that should be happening. And it kind of sounds like you're right there with it. So I'm impressed by that, to be honest with you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And we've really learned, there's people that are like, well, we get Torani's and Monans and your brand is so much more expensive. You're right. And if you don't care about the natural ingredients and you don't mind the artificial and, stuff and, having the handcrafted whatever, then we're not for you. And that's fine. We're not for everybody. And that's okay. So being very open and transparent, that's another big piece of what we're doing, is the transparency, and as well as the customer service side of things too. We back to the humanity and the connection of things. I love the automation and the technology to a certain degree, but making sure that our customers know that they're not just going to be going in, a queue of automation things, and knowing that we can answer their questions and they can feel heard, and being able to get that figured out with them is huge for us as well. And being open and transparent. And if you drink a bottle of syrup, right, it's not going to be good for you. It might give you diabetes. I don't know. It's all about moderation, but pure cane sugar is going to be a lot better for you than some of the other sugars that are out there.
Sure. That's fantastic. The next kind of question I wanted to bring up to you, just to make sure we have enough time here to cover it. Here at Centennial State Insurance Agency, we're kind of a small business ourselves, just run by ourselves here, local people. And so when we ask these questions of small business owners, and we love having these conversations about what makes you and everything like that, what makes you unique and your unique experiences, same kind of question comes to, talking about insurance or just kind of people you partner with in general through your business, right? So how do you approach the idea of insurance, or what kind of worries you, or how do you think about it? And I guess just external partners in general, how do you approach that?
I definitely look at it a lot of kind of what I've been doing with our business, where if it's somebody just trying to just sell us the product and they can't answer any of my questions, then I'm like, sorry, I don't have time for this.
Right, exactly.
Versus if there's somebody that's willing to sit down and talk with me and ask me questions that maybe I wouldn't have even thought about, or, kind of tell me some of the kind of point out, I guess this was another big piece of that they ask you answer, is kind of point out the elephant in the room, so to speak. Yeah, insurance rates are going up, but here's why, and here's what we're doing. Just of course, insurance as an example, that
Sure.
can be with anything. You address the elephant in the room, so to speak, so that okay, yeah, they know that this is a problem. This is what everybody's concerned about, and this is why. A little bit more education piece behind that, and what's kind of happening, or why the different things that I might need to know behind all of that. So I think
Yeah,
that's kind of how I go into any partnership with any business.
for sure. Well, I think it's just like you're talking about. Are they knowledgeable? Are they talk? Do they talk? Are you going through a gambit of, oh, I gotta dial this number and then go through the menu 10 different steps, and if I hit the wrong button, I gotta go back to the beginning. And
That's my
right,
first sign of I don't want to work with them.
exactly. It's taking our experience, in terms of dealing with those negative sides of business, dealing with businesses, and flipping it to, okay, how can I make it better?
Yep.
For us, for you, what you're doing, like talking to people, just interacting with them and just being real with them. I think
Yep.
there's so much fake in the world
Yep.
that people may not even know that they're craving real,
Yeah.
just real people selling a real, it's a real family making real syrup, real delicious syrup. It's real, there's no all this artificial stuff. It's just real. Everything about you is real. And
Yep.
so that would attract a lot of people towards
Yep.
your direction.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's the things that I miss the most about growing up, and
Yeah.
I'm hoping to bring it back. Not just with us, but here's to making it happen again everywhere.
Just one step at a time, right?
That's
I
right.
like it.
Exactly. Absolutely.
Well, Amber, I do appreciate you taking the time today. Before we close out, I definitely want to make sure give you an opportunity to tell everyone how they can find you. I know we might have talked about you making an appearance on a news broadcast here soon, so if you want to let everyone know about that as well, but just tell us how we can find you.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't remember what day I'm going down at, to be honest. You got to follow us at Daddy's Homemade Syrups, and you can find out some more information for the news thing. But definitely our website takes you to all kinds of our social media, our email. That's just daddy'shomadesyrup.com. I had mentioned a little bit about the Walk for Cure for Arthritis Foundation.
Mm-hmm.
So that happens June. Of course, we're going to be at starting farmers markets this weekend, and that's all on our website as well. Any events, any retail locations, any places using our syrup, that's all on our website. June 7th is the Walk for the Cure. So go to our website, and right on the main page of our website on daddy'shomadesyrup.com, it tells all about the Walk for the Cure, why we're doing that, how you can participate. You can join the walk. You can be at the event June 7th. You can join Daddy's Homemade Syrup team. You can purchase a gift pack that we put together, and part of those proceeds go to the Arthritis Foundation. So all of the details about that, we're already one of the top teams for the Arthritis Foundation. So we hope to keep that going. And a huge thank you to Centennial for helping with that as well. Centennial Insurance is amazing for helping us support the great cause for that. And hopefully
Agreed.
more people can join and help with more education with the Arthritis Foundation, and learn more about that on our website.
Love it. Yeah, everyone, please make sure you go check them out. See what they're selling, see what they're offering. I'm telling you, it's very genuine. It's very refreshing to talk to small business owners in general, but especially one that's just genuine. And I got to say, all the guests I've had on so far, it's just real people, making things that you're passionate about, and you're bringing that light to the world. And it's just so cool to see. So Amber, congratulations to you on your family for hitting 5 years, and best of luck to you moving forward too.
And winners of the Denver Broncos Business Boost 2 years ago too.
Yeah, that's right. That's
absolutely
an accomplishment right there.
Yes, we tried for 2 or 3 years, and then we got in. So that was pretty amazing experience.
I like it. I like
That's
that
right.
a lot. That's a whole nother story for a whole nother
That's
day.
a whole other story. Yes, absolutely.
Awesome. Well, Amber, seriously, thank you very much for spending your time with us this morning and kind of sharing your story. Look forward to seeing your success more down the line and seeing what you guys all come up with. So
absolutely. Thank you so much for having us. I really appreciate it.
Anytime. Well, everyone, seriously, thank you for tuning in to another episode of Behind the Small Business. We'll be back We're back every Tuesday and Friday with new episodes. Make sure you're following us on Facebook and Instagram and LinkedIn and YouTube and all those fun places. We are there. Search for Centennial State Insurance Agency and Behind the Small Business Podcast. You can give us a follow. Thanks, guys, for tuning in, and we will see you next time on Behind the Small Business. As always, my name is Kevin Dandino. It's brought to you by Centennial State Insurance Agency, and we will see you next time. Take care.